Well, if you've been a frequent or infrequent visitor of the Spectre Creative channel, you know that I've used this image a lot. It's an image showing two current 2022 6-inch figures and, well, the high prices that we as collectors are now paying. Figures that we're used to spending $20 on for the last few years are now itching closer and closer to $30. And honestly, the big sort of result of this is, are we going to be, as adult collectors, priced out of our own hobby? Are we willing to pay $30 for a figure that we once spent 20, or even a few years earlier than that, 15, 10? Heck, when Marvel Legends first came out, they were $7.99. All right, this is all comes down to price value, which is a very core business tactic where companies try to put items out at a value where the consumer will obviously feel that what they're paying for it is worth the price. And that's kind of one of the issues that we're hitting with this. Now, I've, again, shown this image a lot. It's my Marvel Legends Spider-Man collection. I really enjoy collecting mostly 1990s era Spider-Man villains, which means one of the new characters that just came out was absolutely on my to-buy list, the Lizard figure that was exclusive to Walmart, right? Not available in my collection before, and you could say I sort of had a giant lizard-shaped hole that I was waiting for. I had passed on quite a few previous Lizard figures, especially the larger Build-A-Figure one that came with the Mysterio wave years ago. Yeah, I wound up with, like, his leg from Mysterio, but I didn't want to collect the full Lizard because this one just wasn't quite the Lizard. It was sort of more dinosaur-esque, and I wanted a classic-looking Lizard like this guy. And I was patient. I passed. I even almost bought the Marvel Select one for a while, but I was like, no, they'll do it. I just got to hold out long enough. And plus he comes with, flasks of colored scientific liquid, and I will say I'm a sucker for that, especially because I like to build little dioramas with, scientific elements incorporated, like on this table here. I've got a bunch of Simpsons science stuff, so I'll probably have to replace those now with the Lizard, and I think the upcoming Beast figure also comes with them, so that'll be fun. I like accessories. All right, so in addition to Spider-Man, I've also talked about how I like to collect X-Men figures, also from the 1990s. So when this Mojo set was announced as a Hasbro deluxe set for HasCon or whatever they're calling it these days, I immediately pre-ordered it, even though I had no desire to have that little Wolverine squishy figure or yet another Dazzler. I already had two Dazzlers come and go in my collection and have sort of settled on the 1990s jacket version. When Mojo was then reoffered, or offered first, as a retail version, albeit with a little less deco, although he's much more comic accurate. He didn't have those liver spots in the comic book. They were added for the cartoon. I did pass on the original Marvel Legends Mojo years ago, and honestly, it was always one of my biggest regrets. I thought he was an amazing-looking figure, especially the wash. I mean, you can see the deco changes right there, how much deco they could afford back in the Toy Biz days. And back then, yeah, I was a little more price sensitive. I was, I think I was in college or high school or something where I wasn't working and, had a little extra money to spend on toys. So Mojo had to be passed. So when a new version came out, I was overjoyed that finally I was going to get a Mojo, and I was completely fine, I guess if you will, downgrading from the deluxe version with liver spots to the more comic accurate version, especially because, again, I didn't need another Dazzler. I didn't need that little Wolverine, and especially when Longshot was announced as a single figure, that was a more accurate version with the yellow burst over his eye. I'm like, bam, done. Because again, I also passed up on that Longshot that was part of the Mojo wave. I didn't participate in that wave, much to my regret. All right, so where am I going with all this? Why am I talking about Mojo and the Lizard? Well, because the Lizard cost $39 plus tax, and Mojo cost $44 plus tax. But look at them. I mean, they both come with extra heads and arms, but Mojo's a lot bigger. And we're talking like a $4, $5 price discrepancy between the two of them. And that has left a lot of people going, huh? And I've gotten a lot of questions in the subscriber comment section. So I want to address that, why we're seeing such a weird price discrepancy right now between even just two deluxe figures sold at the same time. Now, another great example of this is what's going on with the HasLab Engines of Vengeance for $350 compared to the Galactus that you got only a year earlier, or at least put up the money a year earlier. I know he's just now starting to ship to mailboxes. Still wish they had done a classic Galactus head. I would have totally bought this, but whatever, I can live without a giant Galactus. So when people saw the Engines of Vengeance price of $350, again, compared to $400 for Galactus 1 year earlier, everyone was like, what? The price value just isn't there. Well, as I've explained in a few other videos, it's because this is all based on the price of even just a basic figure extrapolated to a bigger one. And with basic figures now hitting the $25 to $30 price point, the same thing is going to happen to large HasLab items. So while you can't always compare one item to another, and there's going to be discrepancies between deluxe items and basic and, HasLab items, convention items, at the end, you sort of have to go with the basic figure and use that to extrapolate other prices. So when you have something like the Lizard for $40 and Mojo for $44, we're still left wondering, well, that just doesn't make any sense. Why would they be so close to the price? Well, it's because Mojo is underpriced. I did pick him up for $44, and if you look at what's happening between 2019 and the current year, 2022, which is when I'm recording this video, the year between that, 2020 and 2021, that was when we saw this huge price increase. And there have been some retailers that have increased the price of Mojo, but it was still sold in at a $44 price point. Everything about materials and labor has skyrocketed in the past 2 years. Every industry. I mean, steel, chicken feed, plastic, cereal, grains. I mean, there's a million different products out there, but they're all going up in price. And that's what's, I guess, hitting adult collectors in a very weird way, because what we're experiencing, and the reason we're seeing this crazy, weird Mojo versus Lizard price discrepancy, is because we're so used to spending $20 on figures, even if they don't come with their own legs. And as they creeped up to $22, we were like, oh, okay. But then we got another price increase to $25, and we're getting another price increase up to $30. It's like, how fast could these prices constantly go up? We've never seen anything like this before. Usually prices go up maybe $1 every 5 years, but we're seeing basically a 50% price increase. They're essentially winging this on the fly and having to adjust prices unexpectedly because of the increase in raw goods and labor going up faster than prices can be set. So yes, we are absolutely looking at a $30 figure coming up in 2023. And that also begs the question is, have prices outpaced what fans are willing to pay? Well, companies can't just lose their shirt. They can't continue to afford to discount figures or keep a price point we're used to just because they want to be nice to customers. They have to hit a certain margin requirement that's set by the owners of the company. Now, they're not gouging us on prices, and again, I've talked about this in other videos. They're essentially adjusting their prices based on what they're now paying for production, which has gone up, so they have to pass along the cost. And a lot of collectors are saying, we've never seen anything like this. We've never seen, basic 6-inch figures for $30 or a HasLab car for $350. Well, while we're running around like a chicken with its head cut off, so are the toy companies. So are the manufacturers and retailers. Nobody likes to see prices go up like this. I mean, we all know what's happening with inflation. And essentially, because of the huge price increase between 2019 and 2022, there are some certain toys that are sort of getting caught in the mix, if you will. They may have been designed earlier and not gone into production till later. So it's exactly why we're seeing this literal discrepancy, where a figure is selling for either more or less than it really should be because of all the adjustments being made on the fly. So what's next? Well, we're definitely looking at more price increases. And for the moment, I would say for the next 6 months, we are going to be in a time when the new normal means that you're going to find some stuff at a lower price and some stuff at a higher price that sort of shouldn't be. Paying $30 for a basic action figure, that's absolutely where we're going. And I, for one, am glad I have about 90% of what I've been looking for. Also, the large items like HasLab, the reason that Eternia is $550 plus shipping is because it's being made now under the new prices. Anything made in the previous prices, well, like Galactus, are able to kind of squeeze through at that lower price point. It's exactly what happened with Mojo. Mojo was designed, call it under the Galactus prices, or the Cannonball 2019 Legends figure I showed, versus the Lizard and the Engines of Vengeance are being produced under the new pricing. But because of just so many discrepancies in shipping, right now we're getting a mix at market of things produced under the old pricing costs and the new at the same time. That's what's going on. That's why it's so weird. We're seeing a figure like Lizard produced under the new prices, sold at the same time as Mojo, sold under the old prices. Just like Galactus versus the Engines of Vengeance. And I know I'm using a lot of Marvel examples, but hey, it helps. Also because I'm really into Marvel. What can I say? So yeah, that is exactly what's going on. We're seeing items shipping created under two different price structures, but because of delays, because of inflation, because of factory issues, because of retailer resets, and all the million different logistical reasons, two different items are shipping at the same time. And when we get to the future, to the great unknown adventure that is going to be coming down the pipe, it kind of makes me a little uncomfortable that I'm going to be paying $30 for an Indiana Jones action figure. And while that's where things are going, it remains to be seen how many collectors will continue under this new pricing. It's a price value that is at the heart of every consumer good sold out there. And we're very picky, and so are parents with children. And what they're going to turn to for their kids and what we're going to turn to continue collecting is really going to be interesting to see over the next year. Prices aren't going down, and as I said, I'm just so glad that I have most of what I want. Although the fact that I'm now going to be spending $30 for a Feral figure for my X-Force set, if she ever comes out, Hasbro, yeah, I'm kind of a little miffed about that, especially when 90% of my collection I bought for $20. What do you think? Has this been hitting you as well? Are you seeing price discrepancies at the market? Well, let me know in the comments below. And if more information is needed or a follow-up video, I'll always happy to do that. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening and passing along this video. Sharing it is the best way to support this channel. All right, I'll see you guys next time.